Tiffany, and I just wanted to come and chat with you all about trauma. And so often in our life, we go through things and we don't realize that we haven't been healed of them. Um, we haven't dealt with them. We have just kind of pushed them to the back burner. We've kind of swept them under the rug, and we don't deal with them. We have pushed them back so far in our mind that it's almost as if it never happened. But the one thing is that our body doesn't forget. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience. I've been through a lot of traumatic events in my life. And the most recent was the delivery of my twin boys, Tamias and Pierce. And so after having them, I began to notice my body reacting in ways that wasn't normal for me. I would go to the doctor just for a checkup, because I'm still dealing with the effects of preeclampsia. So my blood pressure is still being monitored. And my heart would just be racing. And I felt like I was like breathing heavily. Or I went to the dentist, and before he did anything to me, um, I was almost like I was having a panic attack or something. And then when he finished, and he didn't hurt me. He was very kind and gentle. My hand was shaking, and it's at that point that I decided that I really needed to go to a therapist because my body, while my mind tried to forget the things that have happened in my life, my body wouldn't allow me to forget. And even sometimes when we think that our mind has forgot, sometimes the reasons that we act out in the ways that we do is because of the pain or trauma that we have yet to deal with. A lot of us have a child in us who was hurt, who was damaged, who wasn't taken care of, who wasn't supported, who wasn't loved. And we've kind of have pushed the pain or the hurt that they were issued to the side to try to grow up and mature. But a lot of times in our life, what happens is as we get older, we continue to push that back, and we don't want to heal the little girl or the little boy within us. But that's the very thing that is acting up in your life. If you think about it, an adult, a mature adult, I should say, wouldn't do things that would sabotage the very dreams that they have. They wouldn't do things that were contrary to the person that you were trying to be. And a lot of times, what it is the trauma that you have dealt with, that you've been through, you haven't dealt with it. You haven't got healed from it. You didn't go somewhere to get whole. You didn't allow God to put the broken pieces back together. And because you didn't allow that to happen, now that hurt and that pain from that childhood molestation, rape, that childhood abandonment, that childhood neglect is now acting out in your adult life because it wants to be heard. The trauma in your life wants to be heard. It doesn't want to be pushed to the side. It doesn't want to be swept up underneath the rug. It wants it wants you to give it a voice for somebody to hear what has happened to you. It wants to heal, and it's going to continue to manifest until you make a decision that you want to deal with it. It's scary. Sometimes it's uneasy. We don't want to dig up past, or that's what people tell us, rather. We don't want to dig up past. We don't want to dig up what maybe somebody did to us who is no longer here, or whatever the case may be. But the truth is, a lot of the stuff that happened to you, you were a child, and the people that did it to you were adults. And so you have to heal you because the adults are telling you, well, you need to leave it alone, you need to do whatever. Well, I'm not responsible for what somebody else did. I'm responsible for how I react, and this is affecting me. And so, because it's affecting me, I have to now deal with it. Because I want to be whole, because I want to be who God created me to be, because I want to help somebody else. And I can't walk around being broken and shattered on the inside and giving out of a lack and expecting to be feel fulfilled in my life. God wants us to go to him and let him fill us up, and then we pour out the overflow for the people who are around us. But so many of us are pouring out not of the overflow, but what is in us. And so then we have nothing to sustain us. And so we act out. We're doing things contrary. Our flesh is winning in this battle. And that's not what that's not how God designed it to be. What he pours into us, he wants it to fill us up so that we can do the things that he's called us to do. And then he gives us even more overflow so that we can help other people, so that we can pour into others, but not at a position to where we're pouring out and there's nothing left in us. Too many of us are bleeding on people because instead of us going to the chief doctor, the chief surgeon, the best surgeon ever, and allowing him to open that wound and fix it correctly, we just put a band-aid over it, let a scab grow over it, and it has swelled and is infected. And now you got two options. You're either going to let him deal with it or it's going to die. It's only two things that can happen when it's something gets infected. You're either going to open it, deal with what is inside, pull all that gunk and that mess and that hurt and that trauma and that pain and pull it all out. Clean the area and stitch it up so it can heal properly. If you don't, you're going to continue to swell. You're going to continue to get infected. You're going to continue to become die. It's going to die because at some point, if something that is infected is not cleaned, if it's not dealt with, it's going to die. And we are slowly we're doing nothing but hurting ourselves because the people who did whatever to us are going about their lives doing whatever they want to do. They ain't thinking about what they did to us or how it affected us or whatever the case may be. Some people, it's not so much they did something to us, they did the best that they knew how to do. Maybe your mom wasn't there for you like you felt like your mom should have been there for you, but she did the best that she could. And so sometimes in our best, we hurt people and leave them broken. And we have to realize that we have to give them the space to where they can get healing and they can come to us and say, well, this is what you did and this hurt me, and, go from there instead of trying to act like it didn't exist. Putting a band-aid over something that needs stitches and need to be cleaned out every so often so it doesn't get infected. So my challenge for you today is to begin to allow God to open that wound up. That one that you don't want anybody to know about, that one that you don't want anybody to see. Allow him to open it up and begin to pull out the very infection that's in there. Because your body remembers. Your mind wants to forget, but all it's doing is masking it on underneath other stuff. You have to get that stuff out. He wants to cleanse you. He wants to purify you. He wants to make you whole. He wants you to be in a position to where you can pour into other people and not be empty. He doesn't want you giving out of a deficit. When you give out of what God has given you to give, you're not in lack because there's no lack in him. But when you're giving something out of something that he hasn't given you, you don't have anything to give. You're giving of yourself and you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to wear yourself out. It's time to address the trauma. It's time to address the hurt, address the pain. It's time to address those issues and not be worried about what somebody else is going to say and not be worried about how this is going to make such and such feel, because it's not about them. It's about you. It's about you getting your healing. It's about you getting whole. It's about you becoming everything that you were purposed and destined to be. And the enemy's, one of his tricks is to tell you that you don't need to deal with this because this is going to hurt this person. This is going to hurt that person. But all the while, guess who's hurting? You. What about you? And God cares about you. He cares about that hurt. He cares about that pain that you're carrying around. He wants you whole. Don't allow the enemy to trick you into holding on to pain, holding on to hurt, holding on to anger, and all these other things because you're scared or you're concerned about somebody else. Don't be so concerned about them to where you're hurting yourself by not dealing with the things that are hurting you. So that's all I wanted to say today. Just address that trauma. Go to therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. It's a place that you can go to get help, to address, to uncover, and to address the things that you need to get your healing. It's nothing wrong with there. I believe in God and I love Him and I thank Him for His precious Son Jesus. But I also know that He gave gifts to people, and a therapist is a gift to you to help you to begin to process the mess that you've been through. So don't ever be ashamed of it. Get the help that you need before it's too late. Get the help that you need. Don't worry about what somebody's going to say about you, because they do stuff that people talk about them about. If you lived your life to please other people, you'd never be happy. Live your life to please God. And He has no problem with you seeking therapy, seeking counseling. Go and get what you need so that you can be whole, so that you can fulfill His purpose and plan for your life, so you can reap all for your labor that He's going to give you, what he has for you when you become whole, what He has for you. If you getting these little trickles now for doing the little things that you're doing, just imagine how much more He's going to give you for your full obedience and being in your purpose, your full obedience of being in your destiny, your full obedience and being in your calling. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. So I hope you were able to get something from here. I'm going to do these from time to time where I'm just talking about just random stuff. I don't know, guys, whatever. Oh, whatever the Lord places on my heart. So thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified. Thanks so much for watching. Deuces.